Hey, Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Good morning to you. Today we're going to have Brandon McGruder. He's the head men's basketball coach, Mayville Comets. Boy, they've really had some good years. He's going into his fourth year. He's already won 63 games there. You're really going to enjoy the conversation with Coach McGruder. Stay tuned because Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Cascade Hoops Talk, produced in the shadow of the beautiful Cascade Mountains and bringing the world NAIA basketball. One podcast at a time. Hey, today we have Brandon McGruder, head men's basketball coach, the Mayville Comets up there in Mayville, North Dakota. It's a bit off the beaten path. They get great fan support up there. I was out there one time, actually with my grandson. I got to tour that place. It was pretty cool, but they just have a tremendous fan following. And Coach McGruder has done an absolutely fantastic job. They had struggled a little bit. I mean, they've always been on the map, but they could never really get over the top. In the last few years, he's made them a real threat. As I said, he's already won 63 games in just 3 years. He's doing a great job there. Why don't we take a listen to Coach Brandon McGruder, Mayville Comets. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Brandon McGruder on the phone. He's the head men's basketball coach of the Mayville University Comets. Thank you, Coach. Thanks for being on.
Hey, I appreciate you having me.
So you're only, as we record this, you're only a week away from practice. I know that football's in full swing. How are things going up there in Mayville?
You know, we're off to a good start. Kind of getting after guys in conditioning and in the weight room, and kind of, you know, it's good to have everybody back on campus. Last week was the first week we started conditioning and weights. The first week I usually give them off so they can get adjusted to school and their surroundings. And then, but we had a really good week one, really good energy in the weight room. We have a JV team, so we have a pretty large roster. We have about 36 guys, and 33 or 36 guys made the mile time. So that's the best start that I've had as a coach here. Guys have been in the gym, you know, every day, you know, all hours of the day, 6 a.m., you know, midnight, you know, they're in there. So it's, you know, I really like this group. They've been, you know, got off to a really good start, and, you know, I'm really anxious to see how we do.
You know, you get, people don't know that, you know, while Mayville might be a bit small, you get a lot of support from your surrounding area. Does the excitement in that area start to build when football season starts and they get going on that, and then you just cook through the winter with basketball? Yeah,
I mean, what makes Mayville such a unique and special place is the community. The support that we get, the support the guys get out and, you know, just out in general, you know, whether it's at a store or whether it's, you know, at a gas station, restaurant, things of that nature. You know, people come up to them, talk basketball when it's the season time. They'll ask, you know, about upcoming games, where we're at in standings. And I think once football gets going, it creates that buzz. Guys start to see, you know, how well, you know, our crowd shows out to the football games. They get to interact with some of the people, and, you know, a lot of our guys work football games, so they're interacting with a lot of the fans and community, and then the hype starts to build, and then the guys kind of get anxious and get excited when people come up to them, and so it's they're starting to feel that. You know, I'm kind of zoned in on October is when we'll really get the ball rolling, but right now there's a lot of excitement, and I think our guys are really getting into it.
Coach, you're going into your fourth season. By my count, you've been really successful there. You've got, I think, I don't want to mess the number up. I think you've went 63 and 26, something really close to that in just the 3 years. You know, what do you attribute your early success there at Mayville to? You've really just hit the ground running there.
Yeah, I have a unique situation or story, but, you know, I credit our guys, you know, for them to, you know, trust in me and believe in our system and our philosophy and how we play. And, you know, we've had some sustained success, you know, offensively. I think over the last 3 years, we're fourth in the nation in points per game, just under 88. And, you know, I tell guys that they just having, you know, really good players, you know, to be able to do that. And, you know, part of the system, we try to play as fast as possible, get up and down, and play a fun style. And I think guys like being in that type of system, and a lot of guys, really try to excel in that. But yeah, we try to get up and down, and I contribute, a lot of the success to just that.
Last season it was the final season of the North Star. You went 9-5. Jamestown and Dakota State really battled it out all season. You ended up falling to Dakota State in the conference tournament. And the 18 just wasn't quite enough to get a bid. How do you just kind of talk about last season? How do you feel about last season? You won 18 games.
We won 18 games, and we did it short of about 4 guys. Unfortunately, part of ways with Darren Jones. He was our North Star Player of the Year the previous year and All-American. Mm-hmm. Losing him at what was a bit of a loss in terms of height and some other things. But I think, ultimately, I think we gathered closer on his departure. Part of ways with a couple other guys, but, I was extremely proud of, some of the guys that, first semester weren't playing too much or at all. And then second semester they became big-time role players and stepped in and helped us out and, made us extremely competitive. Things could have gotten way worse, around Christmas break, but I think we really came together, and we found ways to win. We didn't win pretty games necessarily, but we know we scrapped it out, and that's part of our DNA here. We're going to outwork teams. That's the goal. Anytime you go out and compete and you have guys that are willing to work, I like our chances. And if you can get some baskets to go in, get a couple of stops, and then that's how you pull off a couple of those wins. But
yeah.
At the end of the day, we try to hang our hat on working hard and competing every single day. And at least if we lose, we gave it all for 40 minutes.
Coach, it's going to be a bit different this year. Everybody knows the North Star and the Frontier have joined together. Personally, I think it's going to be good for the teams out of both conferences. It's going to make long road trips for you. But for whatever reason, it's been hard to get national attention out of the North Star, and it should really help with that. What are your thoughts about going into the Frontier?
I'm excited. The only down part would probably be the travel, but we're trying to figure that out. As we speak. Really, we just talked over the weekend about some different options in our travel, but I think joining the league is spectacular. I think that we get 2 automatic bids. I think the Frontier's been one of the better conferences in the country and throughout all sports. So I think if I believe that we'll get 4 teams into the tournament this year, and hopefully we can be competitive enough to be up there near the top 4 there. But I think it's a great move for us. And like I said, and just not just basketball, but all sports. I think it gives us more opportunity to get to the tournament. And they're kind of like you said, the Frontier's more of a nationally recognized conference. They've had really good teams, and that have not only have been good regular season teams, but made big runs in the national tournament. So I think this is going to help us out and get us prepared. And like I said, hopefully we could be kind of in that top 4 range, hopefully, and see if we can get in the tournament.
Talk about you just briefly touched on the travel. You're right there. You're close to you're east. You're in the eastern part. How long a road trip? This is what I'm trying to ask you. How long is it going to take you to get to Helena?
I think it's I think the average trip is probably like 12 hours. I think 14 would be our longest. We're kind of deciding if we're going to break it down, but the road trips are going to be quite long, and but we are looking to some other avenues as far as maybe trying to fly out to some games. I think some of those other schools in the Frontier will be doing that. I think Montana Tech and Western this last week, and volleyball teams flew in, so we might kind of look down that avenue if it's more affordable. Or either way, we're excited. The bus ride just kind of is what it is, but I'm excited to be in this league and play against some really good competition.
Looking at your schedule for next year, you got those, I think they're both exhibitions, South Dakota State and University of North Dakota. How in the world you snagged 2 of them like that? Kind of luck. To be honest, usually every NAIA school is reaching out to Division I's and trying to get those games. And this year, South Dakota State reached out.
pretty early and got that done, over the summer, which, I was ecstatic about. We went down there a couple of years ago, and it's, obviously a tremendous program and
Yeah.
great community support there. And then playing UND, I think that's a huge one for us, to be able to play. Grand Forks is only about 40 minutes from
Yeah, it's close.
from campus here. Yep, absolutely. So get up there and play those games, and that's close to home. So we can get hopefully we get some support up there, and playing UND, which I think is going to be one of the top teams in the Summit. Is going to be, like I said, it's going to be a great opportunity for our guys, great opportunity for Mayville, to get our program out there and to some people that may not have seen us or heard of us.
Yeah, and it's great for the guys as well. So, Coach, this season you've got a couple seniors coming back. Played minutes last year, some limited minutes. Basically, you've kind of rolled the roster. When you were out recruiting this year, what were you looking for? Talk about the team you're working to build, and tell us what you want the Comets to look like this season.
There was a lot that we had to put into recruiting this year. We lost, graduated 8, didn't bring back 3. So, we had basically an entire new roster. Devin Griffin started for us majority of the games that our point guards had. Nick Michelson played a bit for us at the 5, and but really, those are the 2 main guys that played minutes. So everybody else is going to be new. But so what we tried to do to kind of counter that was, bring in some transfers with some guys that can play. We've brought in 2 guys that have Division I experience, 2 guys that play the D2 level, and a D3 all-conference player. So I think bringing those type of guys in that are ready to play right away and hopefully make an impact and help us try to be successful right away, that was kind of the goal. And losing what we lost, you had to bring in everybody, 1 through 5. So we're trying to bring in some guards that can shoot the ball. We lost J.J. White with the first team all conference and defensive player of the year. So bringing some guys that can try to shoot the ball. We've got to bring in some bigs that can rebound and fit our system. So I think that we did a good job of doing it. Got the guys that we wanted. We have some length. We have some guys that can shoot the ball. We have some athleticism. Now. I guess the hard part is going to be putting it all together.
Yeah.
I was just telling my coach the other day, it was like, we have all the pieces to the puzzle. Right now we just have to put it all together.
When you're out recruiting, what is the hardest thing to find? Is it harder to find that basketball player that you need, or is it harder to find a guy who's going to fit in academically and culture-wise?
First thing we do is look for guys that, fit the culture. Culture is probably one of the most important things to me in our program. It's our identity. So, fitting the guys that fit that mold and guys that want to be, a part of something. Mayville, I loved it, but it's, it's not Los Angeles. It's not New York City.
No, it's not Los Angeles.
So it is not. So it takes a special person to understand that. And, if you're, when I talk to guys, I talk about, what they want their experience to be. If they want their experience to, having nightlife and be able to go out at night and go to, bars, clubs, all those, things.
Yeah.
Or is important, getting in the gym, working on a Friday night, getting in the gym and lifting weights and doing those things. What do you want your experience to be? And so, I tell guys straight up, there's no nightlife. There's none of that, here. I mean, I'm sure you could find it if you really sniffed it out. But, we want guys that want to work, the guys that want to be in the gym, the guys that don't care about all the extracurriculars that go outside of basketball. We want those guys that are kind of locked in. And I kind of relay the story that Ray Allen said a couple years ago after UConn won the national championship. They asked him why is UConn so successful, and he said, there's nothing to do in Storrs, Connecticut. But get in the gym and then work on your craft. And I kind of use that same kind of method with our recruiting. Say, hey, there's on a Friday night, you're gonna have to drive an hour to Fargo or something if you want to go out or do some of these other things, or you could just get in the gym. We have access pretty much whenever, so guys can constantly be in the gym, constantly work on their game, and I think that we did a good job of finding those guys.
Coach, you're talking about the roster. You're going into the Frontier. The stereotype, I don't know if it's always accurate. The stereotype is that it's a more physical game in the Frontier. When you were recruiting, did you feel like you had to build a different team than competed in the North Star?
To a certain extent, I think that the Frontier, top to bottom is going to be, better than the North Star in some ways. So we need to bring in some guys that can, play. But I don't spend a great deal of time, kind of looking at matchups and, how the Frontier plays and how they do certain things. We're kind of stuck in our way of we want teams to try to adapt to us. And we're going to play our game, and we're going to try to be athletic, and we're going to try to be fast and pressure teams and get after them a little bit. So, knowing that the Frontier is going to be better, we knew that we'd have to get some high level players, but more than that, I think that ideally, I'm not saying that we will, but we want teams to adapt to us and how we play rather than try to adapt to them.
Yeah, that makes sense. You be you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Before I let you go, I got to ask you, I know you mentioned the area and the fans, but you really got to give a shout out and tell everybody what it's like up there. Those fans come from all over to support you. You got to give a shout out to those fans.
Absolutely. I think we have the best fan base and with all of the North Star, and hopefully we carry that over into the Frontier. But our crowd is everything. We pack gyms. We have a great administration here where Valley City is our rival, so they get we get bused to go down there, and we actually sold out our section at Valley City on the road, and our crowd is tremendous, and we have you can feel the energy during games, and we look forward to having the crowd back in the Louis Leader Center, again, that's just their support and their understanding of it too. Yeah. I mean, they know what our record is, they know who's coming in, what their record is. What's on the line for this game, and it's amazing to me that they know all this information, that they're that invested into our teams, and I think that they've another reason why they make Mayville State such a great place.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you giving us the time. I'm really looking forward to this expanded Frontier. There's going to be a lot of storylines there. But obviously, watching Mayville for what you can do this year is going to be one of those storylines that I'm going to be looking at. So I appreciate you giving us some time.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you having me on here and get to talk a little bit about our program. Definitely appreciate it, and hopefully we can give you something we're looking forward to this season.
Well, Coach, thank you very much. That's Brandon McGruder. He's the head men's basketball coach, Mayville Comets. In Mayville University Comets. Boy, that came out pretty smooth, didn't it, Coach? Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anytime.
Thanks a lot to Brandon McGruder, head men's basketball coach there at Mayville. Also, thank you to Mayville Comets. Hey, join us again tomorrow morning. This is Billy D. Thank you. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.